All right, so we have Joseph with us today, and what we're going to be discussing, he's actually the General Engineering Superintendent, well, that could tie up my tongue, of Notore Chemical Industries. And I believe it's 8 a.m. for you, so, or even earlier. So thank you for joining us at your time zone. You're going to be talking about root cause analysis for the maintenance leaders and the technicians. I'm going to hand it over to you, Joseph, because I know this is your area of expertise, and everybody here is just waiting to hear what you have to say. So you take it away with your slides.
All right, thank you, Sayan, for this opportunity that you grant to me. It's actually a privilege because this is what I actually enjoy doing. Confirm you can hear me loud and clear.
You're good.
Can you hear
You're
me?
good.
Hello, Sayan, can you hear me?
You're loud and clear. Hello? Loud and clear.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay.
We could
So
definitely hear
I
you.
just want to confirm you could hear me. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone connecting. It's a privilege to be here with you. I would like to share this presentation with you on the root cause analysis for maintenance leaders and technicians. In any of your organization, it is very paramount that we find root cause of problems, why they happen, and also provide lessons for, especially for the leaders and also for the technicians. So I'm going to take you through all of this and see what we can actually understand by this presentation. So a quick one about myself. As Sayan already introduced me, I'm a working professional, over 13 years of experience in offering training and also field experience in engineering. I have opportunity to have managed various projects in the oil and gas industry and also in the chemical industry. I'm a certified reliability professional, also Lean Six Sigma and machinery lubrication technician. And of interest to me also, I'm also a certified leadership and organizational development, among other certifications that I possess. So on the basis of this, that is why I'm confident to share this my presentation with you. So let's begin with this concept or quote of Brian Tracy. He said that the key to effective problem solving lies in identifying and relying and eliminating the root cause, not just treating the symptom. What Brian actually means is that for any problems that you face in your organization, technical, administrative problem, first of all, you have to identify it, what the root cause is. Having identified what the root cause is, then you put a control measure to eliminate that root cause. So whenever you have any issue in your organization, be it plan, be administrative, it's not just quickly rushing to go and treat the symptom. No, doing that will not actually bring a great result. So it's better for you to identify it, then put a control measure for you to eliminate that problem that you're facing. So we'll look at some of these concepts. So once more, I want to welcome you for joining this presentation with me on root cause analysis for maintenance leaders and technicians. During my course of presentation, we'll be going to look at the importance of root cause analysis, which we know as RCA in abbreviation, the benefits that it brings to organization. Then we're also going to look at some case studies on how we can able to carry out root cause analysis effectively. So join me as we're going to look at all of these one after another. But to begin with, first, we would like to understand the concept of what root cause analysis is. What is root cause analysis? By my definition, root cause analysis has to do with a systematic process of identifying the underlying cause of an issue or problem to prevent the reoccurrence of it happening. Please take note. It's a systematic approach or process. By the word systematic, it means that you have to follow a strategic way of identifying the problem. And once you have followed that strategic process of identifying the problem, that is not all. Then you have to put a control measure so that that incident or accident that has occurred will not what? Will not occur again. So it involves digging beyond the symptom and understanding the fundamental reason for failures or malfunction of any equipment. So let me give a typical example of what all of this is all about in this root cause analysis. Now, in a chemical plant, you have heat exchangers, boilers. You see that they are failing. When it fails, what are you going to do? I just quickly want to just fix the problem. Maybe there's a leakage in one of the exchangers, so therefore you just plug it and you continue running the process. That is just a temporary solution to the problem. But root cause analysis, you want to find out what could cause that heat exchanger to have that leakage. Is it your processed water? Is it your chemical water? Your chemistry of your water is not actually effective enough, so therefore it's having negative reaction to your heat exchanger. These are the things you have to find. So it is a systematic way of identifying it so that you eliminate the problem from occurring. Now, let's look at some of the importance of this root cause analysis. Remember, my title of my presentation is Root Cause Analysis for Maintenance Leaders and Technicians. Why is root cause analysis important for technicians? There are three key things that I've identified for technicians. Over the years, I've been able to identify this because I actually started my career as a technician. From there, I grew to engineer. From there, I have managerial positions and all that. So from experience, that there are three key things that I've identified as the importance of root cause analysis. One of them is problem resolution. When equipment fails or when a plant fails, one of the things that most technicians do, they just quickly rush and fix out the problem. But that is the wrong course you're going to. We don't want to quickly fix the problem, but rather we want to find out what could be the problem why that equipment fails. So you're finding you're finding resolution or solution to that problem. So that is one of the importance of what root cause analysis. The second importance of it, it enhances your skills. When you conduct root cause analysis, you are developing understanding of your process and your system, and that will help you to improve in your reliability of your equipment. And the third point that I've highlighted also of why the root cause analysis is also important is that it fosters a culture of continuous improvement and continuous learning. When we do this from time to time, you see that it now becomes part of us, it now becomes a culture in the system or in the organization, and everybody will be abiding to it. And you see that you'll be eliminating the bad actors in the plants. So these are some of the importance of root cause analysis for a technician. So if you're a technician, an engineer, it is very important you take note of this importance and why you are carrying out this root cause analysis. How about for managers in the company or in the industry, the leaders in the organization? Why is this root cause analysis important to them? It serves as a preventive measure. What do I mean when I say serve as a preventive measure for them? Having identified a problem that has occurred and all that, then they will now put a preventive measure or trying to look at the future, the risk that are associated with this failure. So therefore, they will try to eliminate it out of the system so that these things will not frequently occur in the organization. And once this is done, you see that it saves cost to the organization. Another importance of root cause analysis for leaders and management is that it's a resource optimization. When I mean resource optimization, it reduces the costs of what? Operating the equipment, the costs of a great benefit to the organization in overall. So management will be able to know, okay, this is where they're going to locate resources to. And once they allocate some of the resources to there, they're able to see that these problems that was occurring in the equipment or in the organization has been what? Has been eliminated. So it enables them to decide where they locate resources to so that they can able to reduce their costs. And lastly, the importance of root cause analysis to managers or leaders. One of these serves as what? Team development. By team development, it encourages RCA in the system. There's a sense of ownership. There's a sense of accountability. Everybody wants to find out what the problem is. And once everybody wants to do that, has been a culture, then it will contribute to the professionalism of any organization. So you can see that the importance of root cause analysis, both for technicians, both for managers and for leaders, they are very numerous to mention about. So that is why I encourage you that in any organization that you are working with, be it administrative problem, be it technical problem, always try to find out why does it happen, not just looking at the temporary solution to the problem, because you're not going to get any benefit from it. Moving on, these are some of the benefits that I've highlighted. Among them is that you save costs, as we know, because downtime will be reduced, and also customer will be satisfied in terms of their time of delivery. Because if a customer is waiting for a particular product and the equipment is down, you cannot supply the equipment, that will not actually win. And most importantly, it improves equipment reliability and performance. So these are some of the benefits that we can get when we do root cause analysis. Um, this root cause analysis, as I said earlier, is a systematic process or approach for identifying and putting a mitigating factor to remove the problem. So therefore, you have to follow this process. If you don't follow this process, then you will not really get to the root cause of why that equipment or why that problem is lying there in your organization. So where does it start from? So it starts from identifying the problem. That is the first step. You identify the problem. What is the problem? Having identified it, then you define it. It has to be clear, because one thing is to identify the problem, but if it is not clear, the problem, what it is, then it becomes vague. Then it will be very difficult for you to find the root cause analysis. That is why you have to define the problem so that it can be made clear. Then understanding it also, the problem is another thing. Understanding it from various factors, various process. Is it from process angle? Is it administrative problem? These are the things that you have to understand about this problem. Then, having understand a problem, the next thing is to identify the root cause analysis. And there are various tools that you can use to identify the root cause analysis. As we proceed in the presentation, you're going to see some of the tools that you can use, some of the strategies or technology that you can use to identify the root cause analysis. And once you have identified, the next step is what? Putting a corrective action, a corrective action in place so that it will not occur. And once that corrective action is being in place, you monitor your system. You track it to ensure that it's actually working well. And that is where data are very important. If you don't have the data, then it will be very difficult for you to monitor the system. So it's very important that you have a system where you have data so that you can actually monitor the system. And if you monitor it and you see that it's not giving you a good result, what do? That means there's a problem. You have not defined your problem very well. You have to go back through the cycle again. It's a process. You have to go through the cycle again. Once you go through the cycle so that you can get it rightly. Next, we want to see some of the proteins that we can use in this RCA process. There are 8 processes that I want to define here that can help us identify all the problems that we have mentioned. I mentioned earlier that the first step that we want to define a problem or the failure. Defining it involves that you want to describe the issue and the impact that it has in your operation. That is what it means. Then having done that, next is to gather your data and facts. That is where data comes in. Without data, you cannot carry out your root cause analysis. So in collecting your data, how do you go about it? Then you want to collect record from your maintenance record, from your equipment history, by observation, and even by interview by the operators, the technician, the engineers around. This is where you can actually get your data from, because you're able to see what the problem is all about. Having gathered your data, then you now identify the potential causes. This will guide you in identifying the potential causes. And in order for you to do that potential cause, you have to brainstorm. Remember, root cause analysis is not an individual task. It has to do with a multifunctional team coming together to find out what the problem. Multifunctional team coming from maintenance, electrical, instrumentation, the top management, all of these people coming together to do that so that they can bring out the possible potential causes of that problem. Having done that, the next step is that you want to analyze this process. The causes of the problem that you have identified now, you want to do that. So how do you do that? Now, this is where the techniques now come from. That I mentioned that there are various tools or technologies that you can use that carry out root cause analysis. We have the fishbone diagram, we have the 5 why, we have the 4 tree analysis to all of these. There are different ways, but these are the most common ones that most organizations use to identify root cause analysis. Having done analyze the causes, then you determine the root cause of why that problem occurred. And once that is done, the last step is to what? Put a corrective action in place to address that problem that has been identified. And once corrective action has been put in place also, then one thing else is that you want to put a control measure. The control measure have to do that preventing that problem for reoccurring. So that is why you have to put the strategy in place so that in the future such problems will be avoided in place. So these are the various techniques that you can use to do root cause analysis. So a breakdown of the three methods I mentioned. I mentioned the fishbone diagram, I mentioned the 5 why, and the 4 tree analysis. They are used in different processes. For example, the fishbone diagram, what it does, it helps you to identify potential causes across, is it the personnel, is it your process, is it the equipment, is it the material or the environment? That's what the fishbone help us to identify. So you see that it captures a lot of things: people, process, equipment, materials, and what? The environment. That is what the fishbone diagram does. How about the 5 why? The 5 why, what it just do is that it helps you to go down, ask questions: what happened? Why did it happen? 5 into play to identify the cause of a problem. And the 4 tree analysis, what it does is analyze the relationship between events, failures, and the contribute factors in a graphical format. So these are things that we can actually employ. Now let us look at a case study, a real case study on how we can apply these techniques we just mentioned now. So look at this scenario. This is a company, SYZ. They operate a manufacturing plant that produces automobile components. Now, one of the problems they have been experiencing frequent breakdown of critical machines used in the production process. And this breakdown resulted in significant downtime, production delay, and increased what? In maintenance costs. This is the scenario, or this is the situation that this organization is facing. Now, how would they do this? Now, first, they have to identify the problem. Having identified the problem is, then have to make a description and the impact that it's having on the operation. So the problem is the machine A frequently stop functioning, leading to unplanned downtime. And this has resulted to production delay, decrease in production, and increase in maintenance costs. This issue has been occurring intermittently for several months despite routine maintenance that they have been carrying about. So the problems have been identified and the impact also has been identified. Next, now they have to gather data. Gather data in this very case now of why this problem is on. Where did they get the data from? Their data were gotten from maintenance record, including work orders, repair work that have been done, and even inspection that they be doing. Then they also went to the machine history also. Machine history also give them some of the patterns in which the failure is equally happening also. They also got input from the operators and maintenance technicians that have been operating this equipment. That is how they go about in getting their data and facts. So, having gathered these data and facts, let's see what happens next. Now, the next step is to identify the potential causes. So, what could make this equipment or machine to fail? The things they identify is lack of regular lubrication and inadequate maintenance of critical components. Incorrect adjustments of machine settings, such as misalignment, was occurring. Environmental factor also was one of the key factors that was actually affecting them, such as temperature and humidity. Then, on the part of the operator, we see that there was also lack of training. Inconsistent operator training was some of the factors that was making them to have this problem. Now, having done that, the next step of that root cause analysis was analyzing the what techniques did they actually use to identify those problems that they have done. In this very case of this organization, you see that they were able to use the 5 bone diagram and also the 5 why techniques. The fishbone diagram was used, and also 5 why techniques was also used to identify this problem. That is why we see that the fishbone diagram, what they do is that they were able to identify the people, the process, the equipment, material, and even the environment. And the 5 why also says the reason why all of this happen. So why carrying root cause analysis does not necessarily mean that you have to use just one method. You can combine 2 methods to carry out your root cause analysis. So for you to get the reason why that problem is happening. Next, having done that, we see what the problem is all about. That the analysis was carried, it was determined that the root cause for recurring failure or breakdown was inadequate lubrication and maintenance of a critical components. We also see that the lack of regular lubrication led to increased friction, wears, and ultimately the machine getting failing. What are the corrective measures they have to put in place having all of this problem? They implemented a proactive lubrication maintenance schedule for equipment. They also provide training for their maintenance technicians and even their operators on how to lubricate the equipment well and what time, the frequency they should do that also. Training was provided for them. And lastly, also, they also improve communication and collaboration between the operators and maintenance. This one key thing that I want to take note of also, there must be a collaboration. There must be a cooperation, operators and maintenance of equipment. Because if an operator is able to identify an unusual noise, at least if you cannot put a corrective measure, then the maintenance technician who has the full knowledge of this equipment will come. But if there's no communication and there's no collaboration, then it's always a problem why the equipment will fail. So most organizations are actually having this problem, blaming each other, especially sometimes the operator says, I did this. Maintenance person will say, no, you not do this. That should not be. It should be an organization that fosters collaboration, effective communication for us to carry out our root cause effectively. Next, we see the implementation that was done. It was recommended that corrective action was implemented, including revised lubrication schedule and training program, regular monitoring and inspection to be conducted effectively so that they can get good results. And what was the result of all this implementation? The result that the frequent breakdown gradually decreases. Downtime was reduced, leading to improved production efficiency. The maintenance cost associated with the machine was reduced, contributing to the overall cost savings. So these were some of the results that was after implementing that root cause analysis that was done. Then for them to management also make sure that for recurrence of that failure, these were some of the things that was put in place, regular audits and inspection to ensure that maintenance procedure has been followed. Ongoing training and refresher training was also implemented for the maintenance persons and also the operators. Then there was a continuous monitoring of critical equipment to ensure that there is no failure, and they detect the failure at the early stage of it. So this is what the leaders in the maintenance organization was able to implement to avoid that failure. So in a nutshell, what are we trying to say about root cause analysis? Root cause analysis is very, very important. It's an invaluable tools or technology that we don't want to forget to apply. For both technicians, for leaders, for managers in organizations, it's an important technique that we want to deeper into the underlying causes of this problem. And when we do that, we can implement and effectively put control measure for future recurrence. Let all of us embrace the power of root cause analysis in your organization, be it administrative problem, be it technical problem. Let us try to do that so that we can save cost to the organization and everybody will go back home happy and we're able to maintain sustainability of our equipment. I'm sure we'll carry back home from this my presentation on root cause analysis that we want to apply. Thank you for your attention and time. You can reach out to me if you have maybe further problem in your organization, you want expert advice, you can also reach out to me in my contact number there. My phone number is also there. Then you can also connect with me on
Thank you so
LinkedIn.
much for that
Thank you for your
presentation,
attention.
Joseph. I love the fact that you said that we need to focus on getting back home safely at the end of the day. And root cause analysis definitely helps with that.
Thank
We need to make sure that everything works together, but the only way it can work together is if we allow it to do that and we have our part to play. And being able to analyze and detect not just if we see something wrong, we tell somebody about it. You know, we don't just leave it there because we
that's
need to be able to be accountable and to be able to we at the end of the day we really want everybody's safety. And if you hear a weird noise on a piece of equipment, don't just leave it there for the next shift to pick up. Report it to somebody. Somebody may know something, and this can actually prevent failure in the next hour or two, where they would be calling you back and telling you you need to come back because we just had a failure, and that's because you didn't report that sound that you heard earlier. I know that's all too familiar within our industry. So being aware of the signs, picking up on that's very, very helpful. I don't see any questions from our audience, so that means you did a good job. It means you did a good
no
job, but
problem.
I can't stress enough, and you did it in your presentation, the importance of root cause analysis, of actually getting to the real root cause and not just putting a band-aid on it and saying, okay, well, let's hope that works, you know, because it will be a recurring problem if you do not deal with it and get that sorted out. So great message, Joseph. Thank you so much for putting that presentation together and, informing us more about RCA and all of the benefits and whatnot. It was very interesting. Do you have anything else you want to share with our audience before we leave?
All right, so in a nutshell, thank you once more, Saya, you and your team for this opportunity that you grant to me for this presentation.
Oh,
I look
yeah.
forward to work with you some other time in the future. I'll always be available at any given time also. So in a nutshell, that what we want to do, try as much as we to
Yes,
imbibe by this culture of root cause analysis. No matter what the small problem is, a small problem can translate into a bigger one if you don't solve that smaller one. So start by solving that smaller problem so it don't translate to a big one. So that is the message that we want to carry back home. It does not mean that you have to
hmm,
work in a technical organization first. Even in administrative offices, also there are problems. Try to solve that small problem, and when you do, you're
definitely.
going to get
Start with the
great
small
results
things
from it.
first. All right. Thanks so
Thank
much,
you.
Joseph, and thanks so much for joining us. Check out our next set of sessions. We have a couple more to go before the end of the day, and they are still very good. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.